Hi, I'm Mark Miller, Accounts and Marketing Director for Interactive Accessibility and co-host for the IAP, Interactive Accessibility Podcast, which can be found on the Access Matters blog on the Interactive Accessibility website. I'm here today to talk about a assistive technology, a software called Ghotit. Ghotit addresses specifically people with disabilities. It's a text editor that allows them greater functionality than exists in common text editors you find in major products today. So we're going to take a look at Ghotit. This is Ghotit right here, and you can see it's a very clean, simple design. It's got these major kind of buttons on the sides. The upper left-hand button right here, a blue circle with a speaker in it. This is kind of a neat little addition to Ghotit that allows it to read your text aloud to you, which can be very helpful, and I'll talk about that in a minute. The auto button below it, which has the word auto in it and a little gear on the lower left-hand side, this toggles the word prediction capability of Ghotit back and forth. So if you can use Ghotit as a clean text editor, meaning that you can write right in it, and if something like Word is a little complicated for you, visually distracting, Ghotit can be a little more simplistic and maybe easier to handle. And if you turn on the auto prediction feature, it'll predict the words ahead of time that you're trying to spell, and that can be really helpful to somebody that's struggling with their writing, to keep them moving so they can maintain their train of thought. On the upper right hand, we have a big ABC button with a blue check mark in it, and this is the correct button. So if you need to correct the text, Ghotit automatically corrects it when it pulls in. But if you have a lot of mistakes, Ghotit actually recommends a second correction, and it's really a simple tap of this button that gets you there. And then finally, in the lower right hand corner, we have the big green circle with a check mark in it, and this drops your text back in the original document. So in the example I'm going to show you, I'm going to pull a paragraph that's actually out of the blog post about Ghotit that I've written, and I'm going to drop it into Ghotit, and this green button is going to drop it back for me. So let's take a quick look at how that works. If you look here, I've got something I've written in Word, and I'm going to just take a look at this paragraph right here. And all I'm going to do is tap the F6 button. Ghotit's going to grab that paragraph and pull it in, and it's going to make its suggestions for corrections. And you can see here that it's underlined the word dyslexia and the comma after it, and it's also underlined the word colleges. So I'm going to go a little bit in reverse here and actually use the text-to-speech button here and just show you how that proofreading works. Now, the reason why I'm so excited about this text-to-speech button, I think it's a great addition, and it's great that it's this easy to do this. It's part of Ghotit. You don't have to go out separately and have your text read aloud to you, because I'm a person who's always struggled with proofreading, having had some issues, well, still having issues with writing and stuff like that. Proofreading is really the sort of the leftover real difficult thing for me, and I've always been told to proofread things aloud, which works well, but I still miss stuff. So this listening to it aloud really helps me. So let's listen to this last sentence.
Freedom to operate in the professional world in the way his friend and colleges did.
Now, when Ghotit read that back to us, it was really obvious that this word was not supposed to be colleges. It's supposed to be colleagues, right? I could have easily read along and read that as colleagues. I know what I meant, and I could have, my mind could have just replaced the word colleges with colleagues, and I could have never realized this was wrong. Now, fortunately, Ghotit's caught it anyways. So from both respects, I would have caught that using Ghotit. So let's just take a look at these corrections it's made. Now, this is kind of the feature technology of Ghotit, is its ability not just to look at whether or not a word is spelled correctly, but to actually deeply evaluate the context and suggest whether or not it thinks that you might have an incorrect word in there. Okay, it doesn't mean the word's wrong. It means, hey, I'm pretty slick with context here, and I'm not so sure that this is the word that you meant, or you could have easily meant something else. You might want to take a look at it. So you can see here that with the word dyslexia, I just right click on it. It pops up the word and it lets me know what it thinks is wrong. And it wants me to delete the comma after dyslexia, which I'm actually going to disagree with. I was separating out this phrase as a person with dyslexia very intentionally. Stylistic choice of mine. I like it. I don't think it's actually wrong. And God, it's not saying that. It's saying, hey, take a look at it. Make sure it's what you really meant. So in this case, I'm gonna leave that one alone, and I'm gonna go back down to colleges, which I think is colleagues, but little do I know I've completely messed that up. And when I right click on it, it comes up and it says, hey, did you mean colleagues? And now maybe, remember that the people with cognitive disabilities sort of experience things differently. So it could even be confusing as to what these words are. So Ghotit has very nicely given you a definition. This word right here means persons having like position in same organizations. The definition of colleague, exactly what I meant. So I know that this is the word that I meant. However, again, different people process things in a different way, so maybe I want to hear the word. Maybe that's what's going to really help me decide whether or not this is the choice I should make. So Ghotit has provided a blue button, just like the one we used to read the text aloud, next to the word. And guess what it's going to do? Read it aloud. So I can click that.
Colleagues.
I hear the word colleagues, and I go, oh, yeah, that's exactly what I meant.
Same organization. Persons working with others.
You can see it's reading all the definitions that Ghotit has in there. And I'm pretty confident now that the word I want to put in there is colleague. So I click that and it replaces the word. Now I'm finished looking at this text. I'm happy with it and I wanted to go back into my original document. So all I'm going to do is click on the big green button with a check mark and you can see it drops the text right back where it started. And now instead of the word colleges, I have the word colleagues right here. And I've avoided a potentially bad mistake. And this is one I quite honestly could have missed. So I'm real happy that it's caught it, and you're going to be real happy because when you read my blog post, it'll say colleagues and not colleges, and you won't make fun of me. So we can see that if we look at it, Ghotit, that these buttons, these big four buttons, kind of represent the major functionality, what you really need to get through and proofread a bit of writing. I'm not going to go through the rest of it, but if you look at the top navigation bar has a few housekeeping items like licensing and some of the repeats of the icons that are below it, which do things like save and print and the sort of things that you would expect. And of course it does have some standard formatting tools which you can use if you're using it like a text editor. So it's very, very complete, but not overdone. And I really am very pleased personally with how easy and accessible they've made the major functions of the software. So as you can tell, I'm a fan of Ghotit, and I hope that after looking at it, you are too. If you know somebody with dyslexia, or in my opinion, anybody that really struggles in a big way with their writing. They may be great writers, but they may have trouble with spelling, with grammar, with proofreading. I know my grammar well. I'm not a great speller, but I can mess it all up and not catch it because it's my own writing and I know what I meant to say. Ghotit, for me, is a big help, and I would consider myself to be kind of an average bad speller and bad proofreader. So you can imagine that somebody with dyslexia really could benefit from something like Ghotit. It can put them on the map where they may have always needed outside help for proofreading, something as simple as an email, or where they really may be embarrassed or lacking in confidence about the writing. Ghotit steps in and it's a complete assistance for that person. It's a great assistive technology in the cognitive space. So thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Check out the Access Matters blog on the Interactive Accessibility website. Please check out the IAP, the Interactive Accessibility Podcast. We love new listeners, and we have a lot of fun doing that. We hope you have a lot of fun listening, and I hope you enjoyed this video.